Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead. So, what can you say? You know, when you're in a rangy market that doesn't have a lot of follow through, it definitely gets frustrating on all sides. Last week, we had a nice setup. You had this lower wedge. Figured, you know, you have the Fed, the BOJ. Maybe it'll be a catalyst to break us to the upside and then get some kind of sustained continuity in the market. And we wound up having a really good trade. You know, from Fed Day on Wednesday into Thursday, boom. You know, if you had a bunch of positions, you made good money overnight. Stocks look, you know, pretty good. And then, you know, reducing a little bit made sense. It was hard to see Friday coming. You figured we'd have a down day, okay, which we did. Some things didn't fall apart. Nothing really looked like a crazy short. Looked pretty controlled. And then he came in today with Europe getting crushed because of Deutsche Bank, with Asia pretty potent to the downside. You had to be careful and say, okay, what am I going to do here? Am I going to buy more in the hole here on day two where we're not really that oversold, or am I going to use some stops, get flexible, and worst case scenario, have to buy some things back a little bit higher when there's a little bit more clarity? So you have to pick and choose where you want to live. All in all, you know, it's a very neutral market with a very stock-specific focus where you have to really be the right place, right time, and you know, you can't add when things look great, and you can't, you know, press shorts when you think things are going to break down, because neither way has really worked. So let's just go right to the charts. You know, what do I mean by that? Okay, well, here is the 2-year resistance that became support right in here. Okay, remember that? Boom. Came across, retested this spot after breaking the summer range. Okay, and then we had a really nice setup coming into the Fed. Okay, what does that mean? What does a nice setup mean? It means a tight pattern that looks like it could squeeze some shorts, get you a nice range expansion, and then pay you. Okay, and that's what happened on that Wednesday into a gap up Thursday. We closed strong. There was no real, signal to get out, except for, from here to there, you take some off. But, keep some on just in case we hang out and then go. Here was your resistance, so it made sense to reduce. Here was your gap fill, so the market filled its gap, and then Friday gap lower, and then this could have been your stop. Saying, okay, we're at least going to get a gap fill. Or you could have said, I'm going to keep some stuff because chances are we could pull in a little bit and then turn back up. Well, instead, boom, another gap down, another close near lows, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. The best setup, to be honest, would be a little bit of a gap down to, reverse up, or some kind of red dog reversal around the 2145 pivot tomorrow. The worst setup, I think, probably would be some kind of gap up after some prudent traders got out of stocks because we went back below the 821 day. Some are calling this a bit of a, an island reversal. What's an island reversal? Well, let's see if I could use this trusty thing the right way here. It's when, you have a gap up, inside day, or actually an engulfing day, then a gap down and everyone's trapped right there. So we'll see, what that leads to. If we hold here and go sideways and turn up, then, maybe there's a bit more constructive action. The Qs, not the worst scenario in the world is if I could do it here too. Oh. Okay, maybe I'll move this over here. I'm not very good with my artwork lately. Here you go. Okay, that is considered somewhat of an island top where you have a breakout to the upside. Usually what you want to do is you want to hold the breakout for a little bit, go sideways and continue instead of gapping up, weekday and then gapping down and keeping, the shorts who covered here upset and the longs who figured they had to buy new highs trapped. And now we'll see what's next. So, not the end of the world, but sometimes patterns like that lead to, more downside because it's more of a trappy type of scenario. All right, let's go to some individual names. Google. You know what am I going to say? Last week was a great trade, and then I figured, with the relative strength we saw on Friday, right? There was relative strength. The stock was down $1, the NASDAQ was down a bunch, and the Dow was down 140. Figured, okay, maybe that's why, only one down day. And then today they hit Google. So, this looked pretty healthy, right? It looked like a nice inside day, good breakout. Why not hold a few days thereafter? Dow was down a decent amount. The Qs were down a decent amount Friday. It's going to hang around, and then this happens. So what do you do now? It doesn't seem like the end of the world either. It did hold the 21-day, but for me, I added a little bit around this 807-ish, and I wound up hitting it out because the last thing I want to do is have like some kind of breakout type failure here too, and and have a weaker market and have to be dealing with this thing down to this spot. So I'd rather be flatted, than tomorrow we'll see whether or not this is a good pivot to buy. Because all in all, if it is, it's still just fine. There's just not a lot of power. There's not a lot of power in the market. Not a lot of power everywhere. Amazon, at least Amazon gave you a way out. Amazon was down $6, went green to then go down 8 and close down 6. And, it's just a little, this was just a little, extended from its breakout area. So we'll see if this could hover here and then continue. But the problem, which I think is a little bit of a problem, is that there's no other stocks looking to make higher highs and to break out. You need, healthy breakouts to sustain a market move, and we don't see many of those. Google and Amazon looked best besides some new issues, which I'll get into, but we lost momentum from, Netflix has been off the grid. It tried to come back on a few times and never came back on. Tesla's been off the grid. Both of those just small little tactical trades, but relatively broken. What are the bios? We'll see. At least some of you guys that shorted the IBB with this little red dog reversal here got paid today. Now we'll see whether or not, the debate has anything effect on the bios. Here is some bigger support. Last time it came to the 8-day, it bounced off quick. This time it didn't. Maybe they're worried if, Hillary's going to have a better night than Trump tonight. We shall see. The banks, not looking great at all. I came in long Bank of America. Thank goodness I got out quick. With the Deutsche Bank news, I'm like, why the hell am I sitting in the bank for? Even though it's hanging in there. So we sold this pretty well. And now we'll see. Goldman Sachs didn't look good at all coming in. I don't even know why I didn't even get out. I wasn't in the office, but I didn't get stopped out Friday, so I stayed in this. Engulfed to the downside. So if you're looking for a short, this gave you a good opportunity to be short. Now it's back below the moving averages. Deutsche Bank might be a bigger problem there. Came off lows, but yearly lows. And remember, we talked about some rules that we have, and what are some rules that Red Dog says? Something is not investment quality if it's below the 200-day moving average. It's been below the 200-day moving average pretty much, since up here and then again at 32. So besides it being maybe a trade above the 8 and 21-day, but not an investment until it gets above the 200-day and stays above it, and which Deutsche Bank has not. So definitely a lot of weakness here, and we'll see if that turns into a bigger problem. Apple gave us a decent trade. This is where, what I did is I came in long some stuff in my tactical account, but not my swing account, but I came in flat in my active. I have 2 accounts, because of what happened on Friday. I'm like, let me at least have some flexibility to buy stocks that I like in the hole. And, here is your gap up after earnings, your quick move to 110. This morning I put out a chart which was held up by StockTwit saying I would love to be buying options here. If it gets there, it didn't get there. And then I said if it doesn't, maybe use 111.50 as your pivot. It never got below it to open while the markets made new lows, and then it turned into a decent buy. There seems to be a lot of headline risk around Apple now with the iPhone 7, so I just got rid of it at the end of the day. If it's up tomorrow, whatever. I just don't, feel like it's that compelling, especially considering the type of moves it has when some kind of report comes out. So, but all in all, showed relative strength today. A nice little, pole flag building, and maybe we'll get more constructive action there. Guys are trying to get me to buy BABA today. I figured you could be long BABA. I've had so many good pivots, thank goodness for this stock. But, here, actually, it held the 8-day, 2 days down. It hasn't really had more than 2 days down during this entire trend. It hasn't been below the 21-day, but it's a little bit extended from it. And then the Shanghai was below 3,000 and down 1.75%. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to wait a little bit for overnight and see what happens tomorrow. If it opens up tomorrow, you had more than enough time to buy it when we took out this prior high here to make new highs. Not saying that's going to happen tomorrow, but I'm saying I'd rather be a little bit more, opportunistic versus sitting in it and with the overnight risk. But all in all, still a great stock. It's trending. It just, sometimes you could be a little bit more, what's the word? Exact, which I guess you can't never be too exact. But anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow there. Lastly, Facebook, before I got to get going. It didn't fall apart, but it's now hovering below the 8 and 21 day. Still, they're trying to make heads and tails about, how much they inflate the videos, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to draw your line from here, it broke this ascending channel. It does have a gap here that never got reclaimed. So, if you want to be light in Facebook, that's fine compared to, other times when we've been a lot heavier when you get like a trade when it takes out a range and gives you a nice wide range bar and some follow through, or even here, this give you a nice 3-day move. So that's when it's above the 8 and 21 day. Here's when it's above the 8 day and the 21 day. Now, a little bit below, a little bit faultier. So you want to wait. Twitter, big move now. Disney's in the mix. So many people are in the mix. I got a lot of nice tweets from people. Thank you very much. It was in my 2015 thesis, and more importantly, back in June when we saw the LinkedIn news about the $26 billion takeover. I was like, who the hell would want to be short this thing? So I'm like, either buy it around 15 or buy some calls for December, the $20 calls. If you did so, you're getting paid, and you're sitting tight and waiting to see whether or not some kind of bid comes in. In my opinion, I think it'd be a little bit closer to 26 to 28. It came public at 26, so I think it would be embarrassing for them to sell it there. So they would at least try and get a little north of that, especially since there's so much interest. So trade it how you want to. If you're in options from here, congratulations, you're making great money. If you're buying and you're in the stock, just be prepared every day that there's no bid. It might trade down a little bit, and you have to just handle it. Okay, so here it closed pretty strong. So we'll see what's next. And that is that. It's Monday night. Have fun watching the debate. I'm not going to get into the politics of it. I might tweet about it later. I'm going to probably stop off and get a beverage so I could have some fun with it. We had a lot of fun with the debates back, when all of them were running to get the nomination. And tonight should be interesting. And we'll take it from there. And I'll see you in the morning. Have a good one.